part of this sounds like something that a lot of us suffer from, which has been termed imposter syndrome, meaning you have a beautiful experience of joy, of wisdom, of opening, of connection, and you feel like, yeah. And then your mind comes in and says, that's not really you. You're not that spiritual guy. Yeah, you think you had that, but nah, that's not the real thing. That's just, you're faking it. You're faking it. Really who you are is miserable, angry, lonely, resentful. And so it makes you feel like an imposter. We have it in so many areas. You start doing beautiful seva, beautiful service. It feels wonderful. And then suddenly there'll be a voice in your head that's like, you're not really so nice, you know. You're just doing that so people will like you. You're just doing that to cover up your feelings of insecurity. You're just. And it's a very common but very damaging syndrome. So you should feel, number one, like you're in good company. Everyone I know goes through this. If you only knew who I really was, you wouldn't like me so much. Right? If you only knew who I really was, you wouldn't think I was such a good person. It's that sense of you're not all of these good things. You're not your experiences, these good experiences. You're not your spiritual experiences. You're not your wisdom. You're not your generosity. You're not your kindness. You're not your ability. You're just faking it. So you're in very good company. We'll call it just a game of the mind. It stems, I think, a lot by the ego's fear of essentially being dismantled. The ego works very well when we are afraid, angry, desiring. The ego works in separation. So if I can feel separate from the world, lonely, upset, angry, resentful, jealous, well, my ego is really happy. It's got a lot to chew on. There's a lot to do. If I'm in a state of oneness, well, the ego doesn't know what to do with itself. And it becomes like that restless, you know, people sometimes they sit there and their leg like bounce, like at a dining table, people, their leg just bounces up and down all the time at the table. They're restless. There's an inability to be in that moment. On an unconscious level, which is why their leg is shaking. But think about the ego like that. The ego is essentially shaking inside like, what do I do now? And so it needs to create a little bit of drama. It needs to bring you back into separation. Thou shalt doubt thyself. Then the ego knows what to do with that. It's very good at being critical of yourself, of others. Just recognize it. When it arises, greet the ego. Imagine that you had a young, relatively harmless, not completely harmless, but not murderous, next door neighbor's son or daughter, who was just kind of a little annoying rascal, who used to just like to come over all the time and sort of play practical jokes on you and knock on your door and then run away, or, do just annoying things. Well, when they come by, you're not going to kill them. You're not going to scream profanities at them. But you're also not going to turn over the keys to your house because you know they're a little rascal. You could come back and find God knows what situation in your house when you come back. So you're going to greet them. You're going to say something like, thanks for coming by today. Actually, I was just on my way out. Have a good day. Nice to see you. Do your parents know you're out so late? Just do the same with the ego. Whenever something like that arises, just greet it. Imposter syndrome. Haven't seen you in a few hours. Thanks for stopping by for a chat, but you know what? I'm actually busy right now because I'm actually in a moment of feeling beautiful oneness and peace and joy. So I don't actually have time to sit down and chat, but I'll let you know when I've got some spare time. And just play with it gently, lovingly. Because remember, it's all part of you. So you don't want to start a World War III within yourself. But you also don't want to allow the damaged, dysfunctional parts of our psyche to take over the reins of the show. And so just like the slightly damaged, dysfunctional child of the neighbor, hey, sweetheart, all right, here, no problem. Have a cookie, but I'm running out. And just greet the ego like that. But don't turn over the keys to your mind. Allow that real inner knowing to reemerge.